To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
What is the fourth one? Between Jack and Harry. Jack purchased goods worth 1,90,000 from Harry. Well, from Harry's point of view, Harry sold. So Harry sold to whom? Harry sold to Jack. So please write down the journal entry in the books of Harry. Jack, trade receivable Jack, right? So Jack account debited, trade receivable, okay? Account debited with what value? 1,90,000. 1,90,000 to whom? To sales, okay? To sales 1,90,000. Being sales to Jack. Being sales to Jack. Wonderful. Now, what happened after this? The fifth transaction is this bill which Jack received from George. That bill Jack endorsed to Harry. So, for what value? Whatever is the value, bill has been endorsed, but over and above that 9,000 rupees has been paid by Jack to Harry. How do you understand this transaction? Friends, please concentrate. 1,90,000 is the total purchase value what happened between Jack and Harry. Now, technically, Jack should pay 1,90,000 rupees worth to Harry. But what is Jack doing? Jack is giving that bill worth 1,80,000 plus Jack is giving 9,000 rupees of cash. Acha. 1,80,000 settled in the form of bills. 9,000 settled in the form of cash. What about 1,000? 1,000 is the discount which Harry gave to Jack. Come on, let us write the journal entry for it. So, from Harry's point of view, how much amount Harry received? Write down. Bills receivable account debited 1,80,000. Bills receivable account debited 1,80,000. Cash or bank account debited 9,000. Right? Discount allowed account debited 1,000. Discount allowed account debited 1,000. To which entry? To Jack. To Jack 1,90,000. Okay? Please write down the narration. Being bills receivable endorsed by Jack for 1,80,000, comma 9,000 paid in full and final settlement for the balance. 9,000 paid in full and final settlement for the balance. That is why 1,000 became discount allowed. Friends, is it clear? Right, wonderful. Then, after this, what happens is the most interesting part of the story. Now, till now you understood exactly what happened. The moment Harry sees that bill, Harry is like, "Hare, I signed that bill, and in the very first transaction, the same paper was my bills payable, and in this fifth transaction, I got it back as a bill receivable." Are you understanding the point or not? Harry got that same paper, what Harry accepted as a bill, whatever was the bill payable for Harry, now became bills receivable. So, just imagine from Harry's point of view, I have something like bills receivable 1,80,000, bills payable 1,80,000. Receivable from whom? From myself. Bills payable to whom? To myself. So, receivable payable is not to any outside party. It is our own bill which we have to receive, which we have to pay, which makes no sense to carry in the balance sheet. That is why we cancel that bill. Write down the next entry. In whose books? In Harry's books. Because that bill which Harry accepted is what came back to Harry in the process. So that bill is going to be cancelled. Please write down the journal entry. We are going to cancel the bills receivable as well as bills payable. Write down bills payable account debited to bills receivable. Bills payable account debited to bills receivable 1,80,000. Being own bill cancelled. Being own bill cancelled. Right, wonderful. So this is what has happened. Okay, as per the question, on which day has this happened? This happened on 1st September. Okay, right. So all this sale transactions happened on 1st September. Right. Then after this, come on, look at the next transaction. Now, friends, what is the next one? H, that is Harry, purchased goods from George. Okay. In George's book, what entry will you pass? In Harry's book, what entry will you pass? For George, it is sale, right? So what is the journal entry that George should pass? That party, Harry account debited to sales. Harry account debited to sales 2 lakhs. Harry account debited to sales 2 lakhs. Being goods sold to Harry. Right? Now come to Harry's books. In Harry's books, it's a purchase. So what entry should Harry pass? Purchases account debited. Purchases account debited to that party called as George. What is the date of this entry? 1st of October. Purchases to George 2 lakhs. Excellent. Now friends, on the 1st of July, there was a transaction between these two parties. Right? There was a transaction between these two parties. Then again, there is a transaction between these two parties on 1st of October. 1st of October. Now let us analyze these two transactions. What exactly happened on 1st of July? What exactly is happening on 1st of October? Let us look at the books of George. In George's books, let us see how Harry account is reflected. In George's books, listen carefully, I am talking only about George's books. In George's book, earlier there was a bill receivable. What journal entry did we pass? Bills receivable to Harry. So Harry account was credited. Harry account was credited. Credited with what value? Credited with 1,80,000. Okay, that was the first entry. Now in this entry, what we are passing on 1st October, what is the entry? Harry account debited to sales for 2 lakhs. So in this entry, Harry account is debited for 2 lakhs. So now, as per George's books, Harry account shows earlier 1,80,000 credit, now 2 lakhs debit, which means still 20,000 receivable is what you will see in George's books with respect to Harry. Similarly, the same exercise if you do in Harry, you will find 20,000 is payable by Harry to George is what you will realize. Friends, I am repeating, if you do the same exercise in the books of Harry, you will realize 20,000 Harry has to pay to George. In George's book, you find that 20,000 is receivable from Harry. Are we clear about what we are discussing? I am just repeating this last point, concentrate. The very first entry was bills receivable, bills payable. Actually, there was no purchase sale transaction. It was an accommodation bill. So, it was not like the bills of exchange was to set off an existing trade receivable or an existing trade payable. No, that was not the case. Bill of exchange was the first entry. See, in the trade bills, what used to happen? Had this been a trade bill, concentrate very carefully, it's the most important point in this problem. Had this been a trade bill, really transaction happened, then maybe for 1,80,000, there would have been, George would have sold goods worth 1,80,000 to Harry. First you would have written sale entry, then you would have written bills receivable entry. But that is not what you have done because it is an accommodation bill. So really sale did not happen. Without sale happening, bill of exchange got created. So that is why we are calling it as accommodation bill. Understood? So if really the sale happened and the bill was created, trade receivable would have been there. Later, trade receivable would have been cancelled and bills receivable would have come in its place. But it is not like that. Trade receivable was never there. So bills receivable directly, the party account directly came in, and that is the reason why now we are talking about final settlement. Okay, right. Now in George's book we saw 1,80,000 rupees in the first entry was credited to Harry account, and just now in 1st October transaction 2 lakh rupees was debited to Harry account, thereby 20,000 is a receivable. Receivable in whose books? Receivable in George's books. Receivable from whom? Receivable from Harry. Is this point absolutely clear to you? Right. Now come to the other side. Harry on 1st of September had clearly a bill payable. Bills payable, when Harry recorded, basically it was George account debited to bills payable. George account debited to bills payable for 1,80,000, 1,80,000. So George account was basically debited. Now on 1st of October, George's account is credited. Is what? Credited. Earlier debited, now credited. Credited with what value? Earlier debited with 1,80,000, now credited with 2 lakhs. So there is still a credit balance of 20,000 against George's name in Harry's books. There is a balance of 20,000 payable to George as per Harry's books. Here in George's books, there is 20,000 receivable from Harry. In whose books? In George's books. That is what we are going to finally settle. So what entry will be passed for that? Harry has to pay 20,000 rupees to George. Okay. So come on, tell me. In George's books, it will be receipt of money. So write down cash or bank account debited to Harry. Cash or bank account debited to Harry. On which day are we passing this entry? 1st of October. Okay. Cash or bank account debited to Harry. Being full and final settlement made. Received, basically. Being full and final settlement received. Now, come to Harry's books. George's account debited to cash or bank 20,000 rupees. Okay. Being full and final settlement made to George. Being full and final settlement made to George. That's all. This is what you need to know regarding accommodation bills. Now, let us look at another super interesting problem. So, look at this question. For the mutual accommodation of X and Y on 1st April 2016, X drew a 4 months bill on Y for 4,000. Y returned the bill after acceptance of the same date. X discounts the bill from his bankers at 6% per annum and remits 50% of the proceeds to Y. On the due date, Y is unable to send the amount due and therefore Y draws a bill for 7,000 which is duly accepted by X. Y discounts the bill for 6,600 and sends 1,300 to X. Before the bill is due for payment, X becomes insolvent. Later, 25 paise in a rupee received from his estate. Record journal entries in the books of X. Why is this problem so confusing? It's not confusing. Let us just put this problem into a diagrammatic form and then everything will start becoming clear to you. Okay, right. Please pay utmost attention. You should make this diagram in your notes as I am discussing this problem. Now, there are two parties, X and Y. One by one, the way we saw in the earlier problem, we are going to write down. For the mutual accommodation of X and Y, on 1st April, X drew a bill for 4 months on Y. So, the first one, bills receivable, bills payable, amount is 4,000, it is for 4 months, right. Then, everything has to be recorded in the books of X, that you have to bear in mind. Then, Y returned the bill, so basically Y accepted the bill, X has drawn the bill, Y has accepted the bill. Then after that, the second one is discounted. Please understand, this is an accommodation bill. Discounted. Discounted with bank. Discounted with bank. Discounted with bank at 6% per annum. Okay, first, what is 6% per annum? Let us do that calculation quickly. So, if you do 6% per annum, it will be 4,000 into 6% into 4 out of 12. Basically, that will be 80 rupees. Okay, discount amount is 80 rupees. Okay, and then remits 50% of the proceeds to Y. What is the meaning of this? Basically, X and Y wanted some money. Now, how do they get money? They said, chalo, I'll draw a bill on you. You accept that bill. I will take the bill to bank. I will discount the bill. Whatever we get, that we will divide half-half. When I say we will divide half-half, is it that the entire bill has to be divided half-half, or entire cost will be borne by one person, only the cash will be shared by that person? No, it's not like that. So essentially what is happening is, this 4,000 rupees bill will now be divided into two parts. Strictly it should be divided into two parts. What are the two parts? 80 rupees is the discount. Okay. 3920 is the money which bank gave to whom? Bank gave that money to X. Now, this should become two parts. This also should become two parts. If this becomes two parts, 1960, 1960, this will be 40, 40. Concentrate carefully. This 80 is basically the discount charge, right? And this is cash. What should be transferred by X to Y? This and this. It is not just cash. Whatever bank charges are there, even this also should be transferred to Y. Are you clear about this? So, this one will be our third entry. Okay, this is our third entry, or basically both these put together are our third entry, where we are saying we have to transfer this 1960 and 40 to Y. How to transfer? We are going to look into that. Then what else has happened? On due date, X is unable to send the amount due. Stop here for a moment. Ideally on due date. Okay, what is the due date? Let us look into this. This bill, do we have any dates in the question? We don't have any dates in the question. Yeah, we have dates. Yeah. So this bill was drawn on 1st April. Okay. So if this was drawn on 1st April, 4 months, 1st May, 1st June, 1st July, 1st August. And then you have to add those 3 days of grace. It will be 4th August. So 4th August is the due date. On due date, how much amount should be paid to bank? Concentrate carefully. How much amount should be paid to bank? Bank discounted a 4,000 rupees bill. Strictly on 4th of August, 4,000 rupees should be paid to bank. How will 4,000 rupees be paid to bank? Bank will come and ask why. Concentrate. See, bank does not know about all this accommodation and all. According to bank, somebody came and discounted bill with me, and on due date I have to go to Y and collect that money. That's all the bank knows. So bank will go to Y on the due date and bank will ask Y, please give me 4,000 rupees. Y can't tell, no, I got only 1960, 40 rupees was my cost. All this is irrelevant. Y has to pay 4,000 rupees to bank. Then what will Y ask X? Hey X, you should pay me 2,000 rupees on the due date. My 2,000 rupees I will put. Your 2,000 rupees you give. So that totally 4,000 rupees to bank we will clear off. I am repeating this conversation. Please concentrate carefully. Now we are on the due date. Due date means, because the bill was drawn on 1st of April, 4 months means we are considering 3 days of grace also. It is coming to 4th of August. On 4th August, basically bank will go to the Y and bank will ask Y, please pay my money. And actually Y should pay to bank 4,000 rupees. Y should pay to bank 4,000 rupees. But in order to make that payment, Y will ask X, you give 2,000, I will add my 2,000 and I will pay to bank 4,000 rupees. That is what ideally should have happened between X, Y and banker. But banker simply says, hey, Y, you have to pay me 4,000 rupees as per this, that's all. Y says, yes, I have to pay you 4,000. But look at this problem. On the due date, X is unable to send the amount due. Now, do you understand how much amount X should have sent? X should have sent 2,000 rupees to Y, which X was not able to send. Okay. And therefore, Y draws a bill for 7,000 which is duly accepted by X. Look at what all things are happening here. So now this is over. Now Y has drawn a bill on X. So that is the fourth one. So here bills receivable, here bills payable for 7,000, and now look at what has happened. Y discounts the bill. Now Y went to Y's bank. Okay, earlier X discounted, bank of X, okay, whoever, SBI or whoever. Now banker of Y. Y went to their banker or its banker and wanted to discount the bill. Okay, what is the value of bill? 7,000 is the value of bill. Now please pay utmost attention, friends. Y took that bill to bank in order to discount it. 7,000 is the value of the bill. In that 7,000 bill, look at what has happened. Discount for 6,600. 6,600 amount was given by bank and discount is 400. Discount is 400. Okay, right. Strictly speaking, what should happen based on the logic what we discussed earlier? Who got this amount? Y got this amount. Half and half. Y should send it to X. Okay, calculate. 3,300, 3,300, and out of this 400, 200, 200. Okay. Now, strictly speaking, maybe this and this Y should send out to X. But wait, that is not what will happen. Why will that not happen? Y says, I am ready to send 3,300, but X should have given me 2,000, which X has not given. But I paid to bank 4,000 rupees on the due date. I put my 2,000 rupees, X 2,000 rupees also I put, and I sent it to bank, and I had to honor that first bill. So this person says, I will deduct the 2,000 rupees which X should have given to me for me to pay that money to bank for that first bill, and then I will arrive at the balance. Only 1,300 rupees is what I will give to X, is what Y is saying. Is this fair or not? Absolutely fair, because on that first bill, see, this is the second bill. On the first bill which X has drawn on Y, on the due date, X should have given 2,000 rupees to Y, then Y's 2,000 rupees, 2 plus 2, 4,000 Y should have paid to bank. But on the due date, X did not give money to Y, but Y had to make payment to bank, so Y had to pay entire 4,000 rupees to bank. So 2,000 rupees still X should have paid to Y, that was not paid. Now what Y is saying is, in this new bill, second bill, which Y has drawn on X, strictly speaking, on that 7,000 rupees of bill, 3,300, 3,300, that is 6,600 rupees, whatever is collected, that should be distributed equally between X and Y. Fair enough. But I can't give entire 3,300 rupees to X because X has not given me 2,000 rupees, is what Y is saying. Did you understand the logic, my dear friends? So if I subtract the 2,000 rupees, I will be left with 1,300. 1,300 is what Y will now send to X. What about this 200? Will Y send this 200? Of course, Y will send this 200. So the next journal entry will be for transferring these two. For transferring these two, you will have to pass the next journal entry. Okay. So let's call it journal entry 5. Okay. Right. Now let us look at how much X has to pay to Y. How much X has to pay to Y. Now what will happen ultimately? Ultimately, look at this. Before the bill is due for payment, X becomes insolvent. X becomes insolvent. Strictly speaking, on the due date, what do you think X should have done? There is X, there is Y. Okay. Strictly speaking, there is Y's banker. This person will go to X and ask for how much amount? we'll ask for 7,000 rupees. We'll ask for 7,000 rupees. Strictly speaking, X should have paid 7,000 rupees. How will X pay 7,000 rupees? Y should pay 3,500 rupees to X. To that, X should add his 3,500 rupees. Both put together, X should pay to Y's bank. Correct or not? So, how much X should have added out of his pocket? 3,500 X should have added out of his pocket. Okay, that is the main thing. Now, what has happened? On this day, this person became insolvent. Okay, became insolvent means what is recoverable? 3,500 should have been paid. 3,500, this person is not in a position to pay. Okay, how much amount will be paid now? Out of 3,500, only 25% will be paid, 75% gone as bad debt. Okay, 75% gone as bad debt, or I will call it as deficiency. Only 25% will be paid. 25% means 875 will be paid. 2,625 gone, that we can't pay. So that is the gist of the story. So for this, we will pass the next one, that is the 6th entry is going to be for this. Okay, friends, this is the gist of the story. Now we will start passing journal entries for this.